never really put together little things that you do every day. And really, if you talk to anyone who is like a chiropractor or like someone who does manual work on people, they will typically tell you that a lot of it has to do with those details that you don't think of. So everyone thinks like, oh, I hurt myself, something's wrong, I must have done it in the gym. Okay, and we hate that because obviously that's our livelihood, and we don't want you out of the gym even if you are injured. However, I try to impress upon people that when you have something going on, usually it's the way you sit, the way you lift things, the way you sit in your car, the way you drive, the way you hold yourself, your posture, all of those things, the way you sleep. So it's all of those other things. It's not the one, not even hour that you spend in the gym.
Welcome everybody to Tango One Podcast. I am your host, Dani Smith, and this is the first podcast of the new year. This is episode or season number 5 for us. We're at almost episode 100, approaching episodes 160 over that time. And
Fix your collar.
Well, my wife is here telling me how to dress. So
no, I'm just helping. You always want me to fix your collar, and it's like fucked up.
Well, I wanted my cardigan to be like that, and you already dropped an F-bomb. You haven't been here a minute.
You're welcome.
So, without further ado, I introduce my guest today, sitting in for Mike, and it's typically we have Dani on over the holidays to talk about eating and all the things that come with it. So, welcome to the episode, wife.
Thanks.
This is episode number how many for you?
Probably close to 3.
3?
I don't know.
3. All right. Bring that thing closer to your face, please, and let's get going. There we go. The only one who I was asking.
This is really awkward.
To speak up. Yes, it is awkward, and you're trapped in there once you start.
Yeah, I can't move.
Yeah, so okay, let's get rolling, guys. So today we're going to take some Q&A on nutrition, fitness, anything that goes on. So first, let's start with kind of some cool things that's gone on. We had a couple of questions come in. One of the questions was, what was your favorite thing you got for Christmas? So let's just start right there.
I feel like Christmas, I would say, well, I got a Dolly Parton t-shirt from yours truly, and it has a kitten on it. We have a new family member, and it's a male, of course. So that's cool. I love Dolly Parton, and I love our new addition to our household. So it kind of like marries all those things together. And I was actually thinking that, I know it's silly, like your favorite gift was a t-shirt, but I tend to wear the same things over and over again, and I was thinking, oh, I should probably get some new t-shirts. So you did it.
Read your mind.
Yep.
Read your mind. It was kind of funny because we actually got each other very similar gifts. Like we stayed on almost like the same like idea, you know, as each other. You got me something for health. I got you something for health. I got you, well, not something for health because your bad neck. I got you the Yeti with the straw in it. You know, sometimes it's just the little things, right? Why do you use the straw to drink? And maybe other people, I know there are like a lot of people with neck issues, so maybe it's something that nobody ever thought of.
So when I was going through all of my issues with my neck, never really put together little things that you do every day. And really, if you talk to anyone who is like a chiropractor or like someone who does manual work on people, they will typically tell you that a lot of it has to do with those details that you don't think of. So everyone thinks like, oh, I hurt myself, something's wrong, I must have done it in the gym. Okay, and we hate that because obviously that's our livelihood, and we don't want you out of the gym even if you are injured. However, I try to impress upon people that when you have something going on, usually it's the way you sit, the way you lift things, the way you sit in your car, the way you drive, the way you hold yourself, your posture, all of those things, the way you sleep. So it's all of those other things. It's not the one, not even hour that you spend in the gym. So when I was going through all my neck issues, and my surgeon put me in that lovely neck brace for 6 weeks, there's very limited amount of movement that you should make, because it's not about, perhaps it's more so about those small things, right? So you have the neck brace on to be precautionary, And also it's about, in my particular case, it's about being able to like lift my head up or down is okay. That's fine. I do have a lot of range of motion, even though I have some fused discs.
Yeah, there we go. I think a lot of people don't know the neck case. So you got fused.
Yeah, so I have two sections that are fused, so artificial discs and a plate with. So I'm fused in two locations of my neck. But he was telling me certain things about moving your head up and down, just because of the hardware. But also, like, I notice that when I'm maybe at an event, Christmas time, for instance, if I'm sitting somewhere and I'm like listening to this person and then turning and listening to this person, I am fucked the next day. Because of my unique scenario. So anyways, the other thing that happens is I was drinking from a water bottle, like a normal Yeti, and I just noticed that I was getting really sore, compounded with a number of other things. But like one thing that I could control is that perhaps not tipping my head back all the time. And that was one thing that the surgeon had said, like, whatever you do, don't tip your head back. This was during the healing stage. So I was thinking, well, that could be a pretty good thing to change, even if it's just one little thing. So the straw helps me a lot, having, instead of like tipping my head back over and over, like trying to get all my water in during the day or drinking coffee or whatever, straw at least takes the little bit of pressure off of my segments of my neck.
Well, and I think that's a good lesson. What you said there is it's not that you can't drink, you have to drink. But that is one thing that you can definitely control in a day. You're using the straw instead of all the, like, adding how many sips of water you take in a day. That's a lot, right? So I think people, a lot of times in our gym too, and just in general life, you avoid all these things because it causes you this discomfort. When it's like, okay, can we work around this and still get the same stimulation? We had a guy in here today. He's a little bit older, and he has an issue with some lunges, and he really wants to do the lunge on his own with that stability, right? So without any kind of external stabilizers, using a dowel or hanging onto the rig or anything like that. But, my conversation with him, and he really understood at the end, was like, listen, if we can get you to lunge pain-free, holding onto that rig, let's do it, because we're going to be able to load you up. We're going to be able to get all those muscles stronger. And I'm not going to get outside my lane and say that's going to fix his issue. But I also know that him being in his 60s, the likelihood of us really fixing what he spent 60 years accumulating, that injury and whatever that is, the wear and tear in there and the cartilage and all those things, when we can just work around it. So let's just, leave the ego behind of you're you're standing next to me and I'm not using the stabilizer and you are, and just get that work in a safe, like making optimal out of suboptimal conditions. His knee being the suboptimal, but we can lunge optimally just by adding something a little bit simpler.
No, I think that the ego really gets in the way in the gym, with men, women, everybody. And also clearly with other things in your life. So I do think that if we can do things perhaps with a little more assistance, then we can then do the other things better and perhaps without assistance, right? So I mean, I don't think at one point in my life am I going to be able to drink without a straw. I don't know, but I really don't care. That if I minimize my pain in ways that who cares, like if I need some help in a lunge, then I can likely do other things that matter more better. Yes. More better.
And with this gentleman too, we talk about the ego, and the ego gets all this like terrible press. It's like everybody's talking about, let go of your ego all over social media, which just has so much truth to it. But with this man, I said to him, like, one of your strengths is also, can be your Achilles heel, and him being 60 years old and in here pushing himself and having that stubbornness or drive, depends how you look at it. Like one day it's drive, I tell him, and the next day it's stubbornness, right? And it's being able to kind of like mitigate between that, or referee yourself between that, because that drive or stubbornness, whatever you want to call it, has him in here training when most people wouldn't be. It has him coming in when he's got a sore knee and he's got this injury that he's had forever, to work through it. And so it's like such a hard line, or such a not a hard line, it's actually a delicate or a gray line to cross. Or it's like, am I being too stubborn, or am I letting my ego take over, or is this drive, and is this me working through some issues and making optimal out of suboptimal?
Yeah, but I think also he may have never thought that you were talking to him when you tell the class that like this is an easy way to do it if you have this or this problem or whatever. So like sometimes people don't even realize that that's for them. So him hearing that from you, and then absolutely hearing it from our other coaches, because we all really try to have the same message, is super important, I think, because although we think they should know that, they probably don't.
You know, in a lesson in coaching too, I think, and you and I were talking about this on our own time, Austin, the best, like, in terms of like the numbers, the X's and O's of training, unreal. And he's really working on his coaching, and he's gotten so much better, and he's really getting through to people. Today I had to use something I don't use very often with him. Like you said that, or I say it in front of the class, maybe doesn't think I'm speaking to him. I go to him, he's in the middle of a set, probably, and I say it directly to him, but he still didn't really connect with it. So I put my hand on his shoulder, and I said, I'm going to leave his name out.
I put my hand on his shoulder all the time.
I'm like, listen, please, listen to me for 1 second. I want you to understand this. And then it was like a connection. And then when he's like, oh yeah, that makes all the sense in the world. Because in our gym, we are, it's like we're programming for the 50th percentile, and then our trainers are trying to progress or regress people appropriately. And I think a lot of people want to start by, say, we'll call the progression like A, and the regression C. They want to start at A, and then if they need to, go down to B or C. But if you think about it, like, start at C, work your way to B, and then to A. And it's especially in your warm-up sets, that's helping you to, it's going to help you loosen up, even if you are able of A, right? We don't have to always start at that top level and try, and then it's like, I can't do that, I'll work my way down. Start where you can do it, and then try to work your way up. And that guy too, what we're saying is, it doesn't mean he's going to forever use the external stabilizer, but for today he is. And hopefully as weeks and months come, we'll get there. And maybe not. If we don't ever, who really, like you said, who really cares? You got to drink out of straw the rest of the time, as long as you can still drink.
Yep.
Yeah. So for me, talking about Christmas presents, Nacho, our cat, obviously was a great addition, and he made Christmas a lot of fun. I can't argue with that. I had my 2 weeks almost alone with him while you guys were in Florida.
We were terrified.
It was interesting. I was an advocate of the hatred for cats. I think my old job, maybe growing up, my dad didn't like cats, and probably because he was a cop too. And going into houses where the cats and the disgustingness of multiple cats or unkept houses with cats really like puts a sour note on you. And I was really reluctant, but the more we have this cat around, the more I'm amazed at, one, how affectionate it is and how social the cat is. I keep saying it's my dog Cash, my old Doberman reincarnated. He follows me around the house when I'm home alone. He talks to me. He even nudges his head under my hand to get me to pet him, just like my old dog used to do, and puts his head on my lap the way my dog did. It's the weirdest thing, and it has been a wonderful addition to the family, I gotta say, even though I pushed against that as you were getting it.
Well, he's becoming more vocal, so that definitely leads me to believe that there's some Cash in him, because Cash was definitely spoke a lot, just not in like barking ways, but just like making noises and or like whining noises a little bit too, like when he wanted attention. But I think that, like, we always had dogs. I had cats back when I don't remember them because I was young, so it wasn't necessarily that. I just feel like we wanted a little bit of, I wanted a little bit of companionship maybe for the kids. Now that they're home a lot, I'm home a lot. And I think that showing affection, or that you're taking care of something other than yourself, is an important lesson to learn. And I truly think that I'm happy we found him, because I think that he fits exactly into our family in the ways that like challenge us, but also complement everything. So like he's not easy, but he's also like, that's a good thing, because none of us are really.
Yeah, he's given the kids a good sense of responsibility. Like, the way that they have stepped up in their care for this cat is very. That's been a nice lesson to watch the boys really like take care of this cat, and how our oldest son, you would say, is the less affectionate of our two boys. Him and this cat are non-stop, like together.
They're vibing.
Yeah, and the affection he shows towards that cat it's just been so nice to see. Like, we know that the youngest is like, he's the hugs, he's the walks into the room, I love you, I love you, I love you, right? It's nice to see our oldest son like really connect to that animal, and how that animal's connected to him too. Like, it's his number one spot. If there's 4 of us in the room, he's going to the oldest son to, you know, curl up on him for whatever reason. I think because he's so relaxed.
Yeah,
so
for sure. So you're saying the shirt I got you with Nacho on it is your favorite?
The shirts, the family. Danny got the family, all 4 of us, shirts with Nacho on it. It's a pretty awesome shirt. I will wear it one time on this podcast. I didn't want to wear it if you were wearing it today. But Bronny, our youngest, he opened up that package, and his reaction to that cat shirt was priceless. Like, he loved it. Talking about the one who shows his emotions, like unreal.
That was cute.
But one thing you got me in my stocking, and we talk so much about health on here, is toe spacers. You know, and I saw them on the Netflix show Receiver, and George Kittle, your
my fave.
Your what we call your hall pass, maybe, or whatever you want to say. George Kittle. And he had them on, and he was talking about the value of it. His feet, and my feet bug me, and they've always bugged me. They bugged me when I used to play football. You know, turf toe issues and being in my cleats. They bugged me in the police department, being on our feet and wearing, you know, I always talk about the old school SWAT gear was so heavy, and police gear just in general is so heavy, and it still is. Back in the day, it was kind of ridiculous, and my feet would kill me. And now I'm up on my feet all the time and crammed into running shoes in here, and I have no space between my toes, which is also a disgusting fact we could talk about. But I've been putting in these spacers, and we started with 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. It is crazy when I put those things in, the stretch I feel in my arches and across my feet, all the way into my calves. And we're not even walking. I'm just sitting with these things in.
You have been definitely feeling the effects, because I would say, like, I don't have those foot issues that you would have on a daily basis. So when you put them on and you had them for no, you didn't start with 10 minutes because you don't do things that way. You are like, no, I am going to put them on for 25 minutes first time.
2 times a day.
Yeah. So anyways, that's what you started with. And then you were walking afterwards and you were like, oh my God, my muscles are so sore. You couldn't even walk. You were hobbling around. And, but I'm happy that, because I don't have that problem. So I can imagine that would make you, at least over the long run, start to notice perhaps different changes that are in the positive, rather than having gross feet.
Yeah, you're supposed to see some space between your toes, right? You're supposed to be able to spread your toes yourself. I cannot. Right. You know, I can spread my big toe, my pinky toe, but the 3 ones in the middle, they stay, like anybody who's watching on the YouTube here, they stay together and they will not come apart. There's no muscle I can activate to make those come apart. And the result of that, disgustingly, especially in the summers when I'm coaching baseball or coaching football, I'm in the gym, it is I'm hot and I'm sweaty all day long. And I'm not particularly a sweaty person. I'm not a person who needs to change their shirt after the workouts because I'm drenched. But man, just being in those socks and my shoes all day with having no space, even when you shower, you clean, they just go right back together, right? It's always damp in there, moist, right? And it's caused me some issues, some I don't know, not rod or athlete's foot, but it's gross. And since using these spacers in 2 weeks, it is completely cleared up.
Yeah,
that's awesome. 2 weeks, it's been a week. And I just feel better. My feet feel better. I actually, squatting the other day, I felt great. It's odd how fast that's helping me, and I love them. I love them. I can't, it's I'm not missing that every day.
Well, I think too, if you talk to certain people, just whether it's people who just do a bunch of wellness or health in their life, especially the people who are manual, I think a lot of them will tell you that a lot of your issues that stem from your feet. So if you do have, and it's not even as close as being your ankle or your foot, it could be something as high up as the your head, can stem from having whatever's going on with your feet, and that obviously translates to perhaps an athlete's foot scenario as well. But if you think about not being able to move a muscle, think about if you can't use your muscle in your foot, think about how that would translate if you couldn't use it in maybe your lats or something, right? So it's very similar, but people discount their feet. So I think that it makes a lot of sense for, and especially people who, we have a couple of members who have foot issues to the point where they cannot flatten their foot because of the shoe wear that they've been wearing through their career or whatever. And the only time I've ever had shoe issues was because I was on the police force wearing the standard issue.
Police force. Let's make it called that again. Anyway,
is that what I said?
Yeah, instead of police service. Police service. Anyway.
Yes. That was the only time that I ever had feet issues, was when I was wearing that. And then the only other shoe, like, now my lifestyle is so different that, like, I am typically barefoot, you know, maybe wearing a wider shoe, like something in the gym that would be wider. And also our youngest wears wide barefoot shoes. And I just think that, to me, it just makes a whole lot of sense to be able to have more pliable feet, to have more strength and you know, require more stability within your actual foot instead of your shoe. To me, makes more sense in the way that it would translate through your body.
Yeah, like I want to have some space between my toes. I want to feel more stable and have a little less pain in my feet. That's the whole idea, and I hope that this helps. And so far it is. I don't want to get to the point where we got a good friend who listens to every podcast. Shout out Ty. Who can pick up the old school phone. He's be able to pick up the phone and actually dial it, like the rotary dial, with his feet. I don't need to be there, but I want to be. I want to be somewhere in between where I am now and where he's at. So that's the goal.
Is he on OnlyFans yet?
He should. Ty. There you go. Forget real estate. Shout out to Ty. He's our realtor.
He has the longest toes in the world. And yes, probably.
Yeah. Sorry, buddy. I would call you out on your feet, but people are going to be looking. At least you cut those off in your ads. But and the other weird things that we've added, and that you added this a long time ago, and maybe it's a good thing to talk about because people have asked. It has nothing really to do with New Year's, but is your mouth tape. You've been taping that mouth shut at night.
Yes, tape.
I know this is a big fad, and people talk about a lot of people. So many people ask me about this because of you, and I've talked about it, I feel like, before.
Well, that's good, and I wish that more people would try it. I feel like so many people nowadays have apneas, right? And if you listen to any kind of, like, I don't know, podcasts or read any books, there's a lot of talk about how important sleep is. And I believe that wholeheartedly. The problem is it's when we don't address the quality of that sleep. So, like, I was waking up exhausted and just, like, you know, when you get to the point where you're just like, I feel bad because I feel like I want to sleep more, but I have things to do. We all have things to do. We have to get up. We have to, you know, help others in the house. Maybe we have to make sure that we're on time for work. We have to do all the things, right? But if we're not getting the sleep that we need and we don't quite know why, then, like, we need to address that. And most of the time, a lot of people, it's crazy how many people have told me how much they've gone and done like a sleep study, and they've been getting one of those CPAPs. I don't want to have one of those. I understand that it would be, if it was the only thing you could do and it was necessary, absolutely, I would do that. But I think that there's a lot of steps that people can take before that, or maybe just try to maybe not have to use that also. So anyways, one of the things that I decided to try, and you got me for last Christmas, was hostage tape. And I just use like a regular medical tape now because hostage tape runs out, right? Or unless you order some more. But it's a simple way to encourage nose breathing, which is a simpler way to get better oxygen, which is a better way to breathe through your day. It doesn't have to be at night. You could actually mouth tape during the day. A lot of people do that too. So if you're working at your desk, and you might actually notice much more benefits doing that too. So if you knew that, like, you know, you're going to be sitting at your desk for a couple of hours, taping your mouth during that time would be a good time too. But I noticed changes immediately, and this is wild. Like, I noticed that now every night I dream, and I don't know if that has anything to do with like quality, but to me, it was just something I noticed that I wasn't getting. Last time before that, I was waking or going to bed and then waking up and as if no time had passed. Now it's like I feel like I've had like a full dream or two, then I wake up and then I am much more like ready to get up. And I think a lot of it was because I was snoring, and that could have to do with my neck surgery. It could have to do with your pillow, right? I change my pillows constantly because of that. But like, what else? It was like, what else can I do to like maybe try to fix this? And it changed within a day or two. literally 1 day or 2 days. And then I was like, I haven't missed a day, even when I'm away.
So Mom, we're talking to you. You listen to every podcast too. We talk about sleep, and everybody talks about their sleep, and then we provide, not just we, but the world provides like this little simple solution that might be a slight discomfort. Really, I mean, I do it. I've started doing it. I find that the nose strip is good enough for me. However, it's just something so small. If you just try that one small thing with some consistency,
over and over again,
you most likely will feel a difference.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and I think that's the struggle with people. And we talked about it in the gym today. We're going to talk a little bit about New Year's. In my conversation to folks in the gym today, and we try to leave here with a lasting impression on days, and often we bring up talking points at the end of class, and it was, hey, if you ate like an asshole for the last 2 weeks like I did, who cares? It's done. You can't uneat that food. But there's something to go now and start today, today's January 2nd when we film this, to start today, January 2nd, or yesterday, January 1st, or next Monday, whatever it is, with I'm going to go on a juice cleanse, or I'm going to do a 5-day fast. I'm going to go on a totally calorie deficit. That makes no sense. It's not going to get you there any quicker. That's like me saying I haven't run, ever for me, but somebody who hasn't run in months or 6 months or a year, and then just running tomorrow, deciding I'm going to run a marathon. What's it going to do? It's going to crush my body. It's going to have the opposite effect that you're going to have than if you just got back to some simple habits and doing them consistently. So by trying to run that marathon or trying to go on that juice cleanse for the next week, if you just started getting back to eating your whole foods in the proper portions for the next week, you'd be at a far, far ahead tortoise in the hare, right? And you're not going to have that breakdown that the hare has.
Well, it's too much of a pendulum swing, like anything else in life, the way that things swing from one end of, the spectrum, let's say, to the other. If you go for that major swing right away, there's such a big chance of you going way back and hitting that other side, which is where you were and where you felt and not everything has to happen today. You're not going to master all of the things today. So what are we going to master? Let's just do something better than we did yesterday. So it's like if yesterday you had a donut, so it's our son's birthday on New Year's Day, and of course we're going to have something for him, a cake. He chose donuts. So again, the key word in that sentence is choose. Okay, it's always your choice. So let's then, get rid of the donuts. What did we do? We sent them out with the kids today. They were going out with their cousins. So they took them out of the house. They are no longer around. Because why? Because we chose that I'm not eating more of those donuts. that's
I would have definitely had one when I came home on my break today.
Right, you would have.
Donuts. I love donuts.
But and that's fine. If you wanted to do that, you wanted to have a donut today, that's your choice. But if you have the will to be doing things a little bit better, then you need to make that choice. You need to do something, not just think about it.
Yeah, well, not eating any food today, or just drinking carrot juice or whatever the hell, algae juice, whatever the people are doing. Right? That's not going to make me. It's not going to make it so I didn't eat the donut yesterday. Right. That's just going to make me unhealthy again today. And in my body just starving in the opposite way, having no food, no fuel. Right? So that doesn't make any sense to do things like that.
I think if you reverse engineer your goal, then it's a little bit easier to think about. So instead of thinking about what should step one be, I try to do this with nutrition clients. It's close your eyes and think about what you would love to just look like and feel like. So if you could imagine yourself as being the healthiest version of you, what would that look like? Well, for you, I'm going to say you're going to choose someone who's got lots of muscle, but also is active and able to move in your daily life and has a big smile on his face and maybe is I don't know, running around in the sun. If you were to think wearing no shirt, of course, short shorts, that's probably your vision of what you would like to be, right?
The kids are gone today. Relax. I could feel it.
And then, so then how do we get there? So what steps would we need to be muscular, movable, right? It's happy, smiling. Okay, so we need muscle. What do we need? We need healthy food, lots of protein, working out in the gym, right? Consistent behaviors to get there. What do we need to maybe feel energetic? Good sleep, quality sleep. So like breaking down all those aspects of how to get there is essentially what you want to focus on. So instead of thinking of like, well, I need to emaciate my body because I've just feel like I've gained 100 pounds, like that's not helpful. The helpful part is like, okay, what can I do that's going to actually make me get to like that vision, in a positive, healthy, sustainable, consistent way.
Yeah, absolutely. As somebody sent me a great Instagram. Actually, I gave a speech to the strength squad about, some things, and we're actually going to get into that a little bit, but what was sent to me, and I love it. And it was somebody describing, I'm at the gym because I ate a donut yesterday. Whereas if you look at it, because I'm trying to catch up, right? Basically is what they're getting at. And then, however, now when that choice is presented to you to eat the donut, it's like, no, you know what? I can't eat the donut because I go to the gym. But we should be looking at it as, I'm not going to eat that donut because I go to the gym, right? Because I have this pride in what I put into me and how I perform, how I look. Even there's nothing wrong with having pride in how you look. And I think that gets a negative tone all the time too. So whatever is your driver, it's like, I'm not going to do that because I go to the gym. I'm not going to stay up till midnight because I go to the gym. Because we're not going to try to undo all the great work we do instead of trying to make up for the bad things we do by going to the gym. I think that's a great way of looking at it for people in the new year. And that's going to be something that we're really going to start to push around here. And in particular, in the people who are upgraded into that higher accountability of coaching, where they're getting more coaching outside of the 60 minutes they spend in the gym, which is through the strength squad and stuff. So that's kind of the route that Austin and the coaches that are working with the strength squad are going to be doing going forward.
Well, yes, and I also to like kind of go along with that thought is so the things like, let's say the donut, for instance, since we're on that topic, is there's a less likely chance you're going to go to the gym if you're eating like that. There's a less likely chance of going to the gym if you don't set sleep times, wake times, if you don't set those habits for yourself, right? Because then we're tired, we don't want to go, we turn our alarm off. We eat like crap, you then feel, let's call it unmotivated, and then you're probably going to be like, I just can't even move. I'm just going to sit on the couch one more day or whatever. So like those habits are those things that are going to actually lead to you not being in the gym. So like if you do have healthy food, if you do have good sleep, if you do have all those healthy habits, then that's going to just increase your gym attendance.
Yeah. Just like the people who came in today. So we're closed yesterday. We've had some condensed hours. It's a business and we have employees and holidays in our own families. That's important. And we understand, that people that interrupts people's consistency. We encourage people to move during the holidays and stay active. But today is a Thursday and we had been closed Wednesday. We were only open part of the day Tuesday. A lot of people, I know by the attendance this morning, a lot of people are choosing they're not going to come back till Monday. The people that came back today, that come back tomorrow and Saturday, will way more likely to be here Monday than the people who didn't come Thursday, Friday, Saturday that are going to restart on Monday.
Right.
And that's not even including the people who are like, haven't been into fitness.
But they're going to feel way better than the people who show up on Monday. They're going to be
ahead. They've now had that consistency. They've started to get back onto those healthy habits over and over again. So, just to switch the script a little bit, healthy habits, people always want to know, and that was one of the questions that came through, what are some of the healthy habits that you are, or I think, what are some of your New Year's resolutions in terms of habits? Not to blow up that question, but it was something to that effect. And for me, I am, the one thing I'm implementing is, one, I'm going to change my rules. Like I have had some rules up on my wall forever. I'm going to tweak them for the first time in a few years. One thing though I'm going to start to implement, I've already implemented this. I started before Christmas because I wanted my Christmas to be a little bit less interrupted by wasted time. I put a timer on my Instagram, 30 minutes. I think I'm actually going to drop it to 15.
Is that going on your rules?
That is, yes, it's going to be part of my rules. I will not spend more than 30 minutes flirting with the 15-minute idea, but I think I'm going to give myself the 30. just because I do need to be on there for work. I feel like I can get done what I need to do in 15, but it'll be pushing. But see, I might be able to adjust that one. Another thing is I'm going to do is before I do anything in the morning, work or social media, email, I'm going to do something good for myself. And whether that's going to be 5 minutes of meditation, 5 minutes of there's a yoga flow I do a lot of mornings, only for 5 minutes. I don't do it for crazy. 10-minute walk, 10 minutes of reading. It's going to be something every single day before I actually start in the gym, start work, check an email, check social media, answer it. Caveat, I will check for the emergency text that might be coming through from the staff for a sick day or something. But before I do anything, I'm going to do something good for myself. And that started already today. The team got me this nice journal. I did a little bit of a journal entry this morning before I left the house. And that's going to be the one thing that I implement this year. That's going to be the really, really one of the driving forces, I think, just to have me just in a better train of mind, a better frame of mind when I meet the floor and meet the customers.
So when you journal, what is your, are you just writing kind of what's in your head, or do you have a structure? Because I think sometimes people, when they think of journaling, they think it's extremely diary-like.
No, my journal is actually completely not diarrhea-like at all. Diary at all. It's basically what are my priorities of the day. I actually do that before bed. What's my priorities for the next day? This one, it prompts me though, which I kind of like. So it asks me some questions about how I'm feeling that day. What's your source of anxiety? I got a shitty email. I try not to open my emails before bed, and I got a crappy email last night that pissed me off. And I wrote that out. And actually, it was awesome, because that's the idea of that stuff, is get it out onto the piece of paper and then go to bed, guilt-free, for lack of a better description, and go to sleep. And I was able to do that last night. And then it does prompt you into some other things, like what does your perfect day look like, different things on different days. And I'm going to try to stick to that. That's not what I had in my plan, but this little notebook the staff got me, which is here on the table, I'm going to implement that, stick with it, because I kind of like it. It makes you think.
Yeah, for sure. That's the other night when I noticed that stain on the ceiling because our roof was leaking. I decided to tell you in the morning and not at night.
Good call. Very good call. Unless it just kept pouring all night long and we had a huge disaster.
Good or bad choice, I made my choice.
Yeah, you gambled and you won, because it didn't get worse, I'm assuming. And not that I could have fixed it in the night yet anyway with the leaky roof. We got good news though, man. Good news. They went up there and we don't need a new roof.
Yes.
It was just a couple of nail holes from where something had been nailed in and came loose, and hole, and water finds its way down, and at least it was minimal damage.
Yes, for sure.
And in the corner of the shower. Yes, good call. Good call.
Well, I think that it's important, that affects you. And we talk about all the time is sometimes you'll say a sentence before bed, and I'm like, dude, it's bedtime. That's what you choose to end the day with.
That's why you take your ball, so you can't answer me.
So, no, I just feel if you know that you're the type of person who things affect, then that should be on you to make changes, right? And no matter what it looks like, and for you it's okay, I know that these things negatively affect me, so shouldn't we always be kind of looking to make things better in our life instead of just ruminating over them and not sleeping?
Absolutely. And that's why I hate on you see a lot of these we don't need New Year's resolutions. I mean, at the end of your year in the business, at the end of our fiscal year, we review how it went the year before, and we set out some goals. We set out some better habits for business, some different cadences of communication. We do things to make our business better. Why would we not do that at the start of the year? And I'm sure it doesn't have to be January 1st. You can have your own fiscal year for your own personal life, but that January 1st one really makes a lot of sense. So to hate on anybody who's starting in the gym or starting with a new habit or anything is just ridiculous.
Hating on anyone for anything is bad. But I also, the hippie in me tells me that, to me, I think that maybe let's say a resolution would be more, this is just food for thought for people. If you don't feel like January 1st is your motivation time, if you feel like it's hibernation time, it kind of makes sense because of the weather and especially where we live. And maybe springtime is a good time for you to make those change or those thoughts or think about how that last year went. So yes, I don't think it has to be that specific date.
Are you seriously telling people to hold off on their fitness journey? I
say
marketing.
Don't.
This is the worst marketing. That's how honest you are. The worst marketing plan I've ever heard.
I don't hold the marketing seat in this business. Clearly.
You're crushing it right now with your words.
2, I am saying that I think people should start their fitness journey this day. Like, you should not be waiting for any day. You should be waiting for Monday.
Here we go.
However, I resonate with the fact that in a dreary January time, it is not always something that people are like, I'm ready to go work out. I'm going to go leave my house at 5 a.m. and go to the gym. Like, probably a lot of people might feel a little bit better once the sun starts coming out and the birds start chirping. You and I just like are a little bit different in that sense. I just think that maybe don't feel bad if you're someone who feels that way. But also I think you should be able to start your fitness journey or start to do things better for you, like, now. Don't wait.
All right. Better sale. And yeah, this podcast, we don't make money on the podcast. It's all about getting information out there.
Don't.
And no, well, we actually lose tons of money on the podcast with all this fancy equipment and this nice chair I'm sitting in. But anyways, on to another couple questions from the guests. So one that came in, this one's from Tiff from Amherstburg, a Garage Gym member. She said, this one's for Dani, and I'm going to obviously chime in on it because it has a lot to do with me. Spouse's opinion. Tony's 1 year of sobriety. How does it make you feel? I'll get the real question from Tiff as you kind of lay into that.
Like, how
from a
do
spouse's
I
perspective.
feel about it?
Let me get this. Let me read the real question. Get my glasses down. Okay. Spousal reflections on Tony's alcohol-free year. Thumbs up, thumbs down, or mix?
Oh, I think 99.9% thumbs up. I think that I think people, for any particular reasons of using alcohol or using any kind of anything to either make a time feel better or maybe relax, or, you know, for whatever reason, or maybe you just like it, maybe it's just something that you're used to, maybe it's a habit for you, maybe there could be a number of reasons to use things. And I do think that there's a number of things that tie into that. So I'll give you the short answer. 99.9% thumbs up. I'm very proud of you. I think that you are much more present and clear. And I could go on about this, but I won't.
No, you're making me well up a little bit. Yeah. Didn't think it was going to go that way. Anyways, I
try to make you cry
I
every day.
knew I was going to be happy about it, but yeah. For me, it's been 1 whole year, complete sobriety, like nothing at all. And yeah, it feels unbelievable. And the clarity, I guess, with people, that maybe an overused word, the clarity is very, it's good. It's, I figure in December alone, I probably would have had over 100 drinks, over 100 drinks. Like, that's insane. And that, not just for my health, but for my brain, which I guess is all health, for my, connection with the boys. The boys are proud that I don't drink, and which makes me really think that I did have a problem when my young sons are, you take over for a minute. Anyways.
Well, no, I do think that, like, when you say unbelievable, what does that mean? Is that, like, you mean that, like, that you have been able to have a better, just a better life overall because you decided to change that in yourself?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Like, my floors are higher and my ceilings aren't as high. I gotta say that. Like, there's no way New Year's Eve, I'm gonna have as much fun or wildness or maybe, uncontrolled laughter as I would have if I was having drinks. Like, I gotta say that. Like, people who say that you can have just as much fun for one day of partying, there's no way. Like, one event, one wedding or something like that. But as course of, like, one wedding, New Year's Eve, Christmas party, yeah, man, I had more fun over the course of that because I didn't have the terrible hangovers. I remember every conversation I had with people. Like, it's just so much more. I had real conversations, and it wasn't just like, hey, want to have a shot and then talk about stupid stuff and not remember. There's just so much to that. There's so much to, like, how much more I showed up for our team, for our kids, for the members. In the mornings, how much more present I was. That's the word that would come up over and over, and the presence. And for myself, without alcohol, I spent a lot of time in my own head, clear though, instead of in my own head with the something that was influencing me to either be happier or sadder, because it doesn't keep you in the middle. And then that helped me to, I think, to sort some things out and make sure that I am showing up more. I think in terms of leading, I think I'm a softer person. Like, I think I have a lot more compassion.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And I'm not like leading with force as much as I used to. And I think that was a transformation that needed to happen. I've talked about rebel leadership, and that's always been my style of leadership, and it's worked, but I don't think that works forever. And it was time to kind of like to transform, to become something more, to become something a little bit different, and have a little bit a different vibe to me. And I think like the membership has responded to that. Our numbers in the gym financially, which is, leads to our memberships, that leads to, the output of our team. I think that everybody's really responded to that new me and a little bit better. And I think it really has to do with last, December 31st in the middle of the day, deciding that was my last drink.
Yeah. What do you think about the future?
I try not now. I don't really think about it. It's, it crosses my mind here or there. Like, what I would have loved to have had a scotch with my father on Christmas Day. I think, I don't know if I'm just tied to the streak, the competitiveness of not drinking, or if I just am worried. I think there's both. I don't want to break the streak, but I also don't want to. Again, I know with the slippery slope of, if that's a reason, then the next week, when my friend's father died and we're all getting together, that's a reason to have a drink. Or my son's birthday, or New Year's Eve. I will find reasons, and I always did, because I quit drinking. I slowed my drinking. I did all kinds of things. Just have one or two drinks. But I always found my way back to having a million.
Well, I think that they do say that it's not the substance, because there's a million things you could be addicted to, right? It's more so like, why are you engaging? And that happens to be your substance of choice, right? So if you do fix something, let's say, that's the kind of a weird word for that, but let's say you do change something and you're happier with that person, then maybe that's what causes the non-necessity for that substance, right? Yes, that's the temptation, because that would be your choice of item, right? But if you do notice that you're not, maybe those times that you do notice that you're kind of craving it, maybe that's like almost like a time where you're I don't know, like feeling like you used to feel a little bit.
Yeah, and very rarely do I actually crave it anymore. The mineral waters in a rock glass, like, it is just, just as good. I'm not gonna lie to everybody. I think a lot of people who quit drinking kind of give that bullshit line. I don't think that's true. I don't think it's as good as a Manhattan, taste wise. But it's good, man. It's good, and it's good enough. It's good enough to get me to where I gotta go and to enjoy it and not feel shitty. And man, the amount of time that this decision has bought me back.
Yeah.
If you feel rushed, if you feel like you don't have enough time and you drink, a decent amount, which most people do, like most people that, on the ball team that I hang out with, like not just here, most people in the gym, most people that are just in my circles that I run with. And so it's not like I'm just pulling from one group of people. Most people drink quite a bit, And if you feel like you're rushed, stop drinking. You have so much time. If you feel like you're hurting for money, stop drinking. You still have so much money. Not so much. We're not rich by any means, but man, the amount of money you save when you don't have 100 drinks I didn't buy.
Well, it's also related to that pendulum that we had talked about before, is like the highs of having fun. Like, I mean, listen, I had a blast in my day, and like, do I still have shots or a drink or whatever? Yes, but it just significantly changes when your spouse doesn't drink, big time. But for the good, for the positive, I like I like making more deliberate choices, and that's kind of forced me to do that as well. But like also it's like when you notice, like, yes, of course it makes New Year's or a wedding more fun, but then you also notice that pendulum swing to the lows of like, I remember the last time I had, like, I would say it was pretty embarrassing, but like only a couple of drinks. And I woke up the next morning and you have like almost like these symptoms that you never even noticed before. My heart was beating fast and I was like, oh, this is not good. You think slower. So like, let's say you go and you have to go drive somewhere the next day, like your capacity for thinking, your brain is like not functioning on all cylinders, which is not safe. But also like not to push it too far in that direction of like, you know, like, oh, you should never drink again. But like it's noticeable now, especially being more removed. You kind of notice those things a little bit more.
Right. And then the last part, from the fitness standpoint, there's a reason why like bodybuilders or fitness models or whatever don't drink. A lot of people's goals, and I know a lot of people in here that have goals and maybe they are aesthetic, and you can say that's right or wrong, and I told you I don't think that's wrong. There's nothing wrong with people wanting to be confident in how they look. There can be something wrong when you're obsessed with it to a unhealthy degree, but a lot of those are on the other side of alcohol. Like,
yeah, but
not drinking. I mean, I feel like I can eat, like I'm not trying to say like you should just quit drinking and eat all the donuts. I feel like I can eat so much, so like I can get off my diet a lot easier and stay looking and feeling great than I can when with alcohol involved. And that it's just crazy. So I think like that part of it, the aesthetics that comes with that, is you'd be amazed if you extended that out over, a lot of people here do it for 6 weeks. If you extend that out to 90 days, how different you feel. Mm-hmm. It's wild. And then a year in, it's emotional and how different that is.
Sure.
So, yeah. Anyways, moving on. We got one more question and then we're going to roll out of here. We're getting on, we've been going straight for a little bit here. Okay, so and this question is one you submitted, so I don't know who it's from, so feel free to throw that in there if they wanted that out. If I wanted to go from I'm getting sick of counting macros, what's the next logical step down from there? And maybe down's the bad word for it, but basically what's the next thing, the lesser thing I can do rather than getting into counting macros? And I don't think counting macros every day for anybody is a healthy way to be doing things. I think it's tedious. It's gonna, the harder things are, the more it's gonna make you get away from it. So don't cut in on your that's a question for you.
Yeah, no, I don't have any opinion on whether people should be doing all the macros, like, counting all their proteins, carbs, and fats. I think the health perspective of whether it's healthy, like, it's so interesting when you talk about like drinking, but then people say like, oh, well, you're obsessed because all you do is you weigh all of your food and you count it in a calculator. Like, if you're eating healthy food and this is the way that you want to make sure that you're at your best, I don't think that's unhealthy at all.
And it doesn't stress you up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And if you're stressed out, you probably won't see the benefits anyways. But if you're doing it because it makes you feel healthy and it makes you feel great and you feel like you are in control, because a lot of people like to be in control. If you haven't noticed, not me, but other people. But a lot of people like that feeling of like, I need to know how much I'm taking in. And that's okay. Like it's at some point, perhaps you might change your mind and you might feel like, no, I've got a handle on this. It's just like anything else. However, let's say you get to the point, you're someone who has been doing macro counting or weighing your food. Different ways that you can look at it in terms of like, how can I make this a little bit easier on myself, or how can I like free up the time? I don't really like to log food. I don't really like to do this. As like almost like called a necessary evil. A number of things you can do. So taking like, maybe let's call it a smaller change would be to just pay attention to the protein that you're taking in. So instead of logging and tracking and weighing all of the things, you could then just weigh, and if you want to, log the protein that you take in every day. So the other stuff kind of falls in line, so that you're making sure that you're filling up and you're eating the food that you need, the protein being the most important, especially for people in the gym. And then the healthy carbs and the healthy fats can be kind of as you would like, right? As it complements your meal. So that's something to toy with. There's other ways of doing it where you could go kind of even a step back more and think about, okay, so if I wanted to make sure that I was getting enough of all the things that I need, then maybe I should not put it in a tracker, not weigh it, but I could use something like we've done before with measuring cups. So you could just take whatever protein, whatever carb, whatever fat you had and measure it out. Still, you're still measuring it, but you're just not inputting it into any type of system because you kind of already have that knowledge. You kind of know what your plate looked like when you were tracking it.
That's my go-to. The measuring cup, quick, efficient, keeps you in check, but doesn't make you feel like you're like trying to weigh in every grape, every tomato, and which is taking a lot of time.
Right. I think number one, like if you're really just trying to kind of change gears, I think one thing that you could do that would really have a great impact on you and that you would not have to even measure anything at all would be to like, because you already have that knowledge. This is for people who already have that knowledge of like kind of how much protein should be in all their meals. This isn't necessarily for the person who is like has no clue how much protein they should be having, carbs and fats, would be to just cut out all of your processed food, ultra processed foods. So anything that comes in a package that you know you would not be able to make in your kitchen. Okay, so anything with like added ingredients that a typical kitchen wouldn't have. Take all of that out and just rely on like, does it grow in the ground? Does it swim in the water? Does it fly through the air? And does it run on land? So like making sure that we use those types of parameters when we're at the grocery store to buy and then to kind of create a meal. Again, like I said, that wouldn't be very easy for someone to start out because they might have no clue where even to start if they had a whole big grocery cart full of these items. I think that maybe seeking someone's help or advice first to kind of figure out like what those portion sizes should be, and then going into like what those foods would be a little bit more helpful, because it's very easy to eat all fruit, tons of fruit, and like maybe have a little bit of eggs or maybe have a little bit of meat or a little bit of fish, and then maybe you'll find that your balances of everything are not on, right? So I think that that would be something that I would encourage someone who has already been counting macros would have a lot of success with.
Yeah, I mean, I really think that the counting of macros is such a good way to learn, because it really forces you to learn. And I think what we're talking about here and what Dani said, I mean, it's how we feed our kids, it's how we feed ourselves, or I was gonna say each other. It's even how we feed our cat. Like everything in our house, it's the same. It's so funny. Like you're reading about our cat eating what he's eating, and it's like, yeah, because all the refined sugars and carbohydrates in the other food lead to diabetes, heart, like all these things. And we're like, but then you're sitting there, eating your own food. Like, I think a lot of people feed their pets, better than they feed themselves, and that pets are important, but I think we're importanter. And so are your children. So let's make sure that we're taking care of those people first and foremost in this new year, up and coming new year. So thank you for sitting in for Mike. Mike, shout out to you. We were able to meet your beautiful baby boy the other day with you and Lisa, or for New Year's, came over for New Year's Eve dinner and braved the cow tongue that I cooked, the tacos. Were they good? I'm
surprised you didn't talk about that more. The cow tongue was very good. Anyone, like, I'm very open-minded with food, and anyone that would have seen that process, like, I would not have blamed them at all for not wanting to partake in. And
myself included, when I whipped that thing out, I was like, oh my God.
You're like, hey, want to come over for New Year's Eve dinner? And they're like, yes, we would love to. And then you send Lisa a video of you holding up this raw cow tongue. And you're like, okay, can't wait to see you. Like,
hey, she ate it.
She showed up.
She ate it. She loved it. Trooper.
Props to Lisa for showing up.
And my boys ate it. And I appreciate anybody who's got the open mind to try something new.
It was very good.
It was fun to cook something different too. It was fun to kind of get out of my own comfort zone and cook something that I've never tried before. And then when it works and when you execute it, it's always always that much better, of course.
Yeah, we were a little worried.
Oh, I was a little worried. When that thing came out, it actually had the black and white spots on it too, like how a Jersey cow would have or whatever. I was like, oh wow, I didn't think that was coming. And then, of course, people on the internet saw that thing come on, they thought it was something else.
Well,
The way it flopped down there.
That's your clientele.
Yeah, that's the client, aggressively masculine. That's what it is.
That's what they're thinking about.
Anyways, guys, thank you so much. I can't believe that we're in our 4th season. I think I said 5th, but I think it's our 4th season of the show. Unreal, 4 years running, and then thousands and thousands. Like, we're upwards of 50,000 views and downloads. It's to think that many people want to listen to this. It's truly an honor, and I thank you guys very much. Always amongst our most popular episodes of the year or when we bring on Dani. And so I hope you guys enjoy this one. Please follow us on the show, and Grudge Him. We got free trials, and Dani does online coaching and nutrition, and my Aggressively Masculine program is running. So there is no reason that you cannot get healthy in some way. If you're looking for a coach, we'd love to have you, as long as you're going to put forth the consistent hard work. Over and out.
Bye.